Welcome to New Zealand. Nice little flight over here, didn't take too long. It's midnight, New Zealand time. There's no one around. Well, 3 holes in the ground. What do we have here? We have New Zealand, baby. We are in New bloody Zealand. Have a look at that. That is the view from our front door. We have the fortunate position of having a house to stay in here in New Zealand. Oh man, the whole reason for this trip was because one of Shaz's friends, someone she knew back in the school days in the UK, lives in New Zealand now, and this is their house. They've gone away and graciously left us their house and their car out there to use in New Zealand, which is why we decided to come here, solely based on that. Unbelievable offer from these guys. Wow, this is the backyard. We're only half an hour from the Christchurch airport, but as soon as we come over the hills, it's just a different world. We wound our way through the suburbs, not for too long, and then we started climbing up over a pass, and then boom, here we are. Country life, New Zealand style. Hard to believe that this time yesterday I was waking up Christmas Day on the Gold Coast in Australia. Here I am, Boxing Day 2024, waking up in New Zealand. Nothing out here but misty hills and sheep. And it seems like a very popular motorcycling route. There's an inlet out there, goes out to the ocean, and mountains, bit of a rocky peak up there. So we come over those hills, on the other side of those hills is Christchurch. So grateful for this opportunity because we are going to see some incredible places in New Zealand. Starting today, we are driving down towards Queenstown. Just starting to get a little bit more scenic, getting towards the west coast. So we've just seen our first snow on the mountain tops, and wow, the landscape certainly has changed. Got all these beautiful flowers. The area is famous for these. These flowers are called lupins. Although nice and beautiful, are an invasive species that are causing a bit of havoc to the natural environment in New Zealand these days. They were introduced back in the 1940s and have gained popularity in recent years due to social media influences and the like, putting up posts. Maybe no different to what I'm doing here. Am I helping to spread this popularity of this invasive species here? I don't know. They are trying to eradicate these. So you've got a limited window of opportunity to go and see these flowers in New Zealand's South Island, I believe. They are trying to get rid of them. A few minutes later and we're on the shores of the absolutely beautiful Lake Tekapo. It is a stunning natural glacial lake and is also the site of one of the most photographed buildings in New Zealand, the Church of the Good Shepherd, which, due to the beautiful backdrop of the lake and the mountains and the fact it used to be surrounded by lots of lupins, it then became a focal point for photographers and influencers from all over the globe. We were extremely lucky with the timing of the weather with our stop at the Lupins and Lake Tekapo, because prior to our stop there it had been raining fairly consistently for a while, And just after our stop, it was raining fairly consistently for a while as well, but we had some great weather while we stopped there. The journey continued on, winding through the mountains towards Queenstown. The landscape got more and more rugged along the way, dramatic hills and mountains, raging torrents of rivers. The area became more remote, more rugged, and more sparsely populated. We were getting into the wild west coast of New Zealand. But before too long, we popped out in the beautiful town of Queenstown. It is a very busy tourist town, known for its lakeside activities in the summer and ski resort activities throughout the winter months. We settled in for a great night there, exploring the town, and prepared ourselves for our huge adventure the next day.
We are here in Queenstown. What a spectacular place to finish day one of the journey yesterday. But today we are heading from Queenstown down to Milford Sound. Just waiting for a bus here, and what a place to wait for a bus. Probably the most spectacular bus stop I've ever seen. The views are quite remarkable because it's the Remarkables. Absolutely stunning. Wow, still a little bit of snow up on top of the peaks. It is summer, but it's a very crisp start to the day. 7 degrees at the moment. We've got a full day tour happening today down to the Milford Sound by bus, on the boat in the Milford Sound. That is going to be absolutely stunning, one of the wonders of New Zealand. And then we're flying back over the mountains back to Queenstown. This is going to be an incredible day.
As the crow flies, it's not actually that far from Queenstown to Milford Sound. And Milford Sound is actually a little bit north of Queenstown. But to get there via road, we had to go a long way south, loop around, and then come back up further west to get over to Milford Sound. It was a 5-hour bus trip, and along the way, this journey took me to the furthest point south I've ever been in the world. The furthest north I've ever been was Loch Ness in Scotland, which funnily enough is a pretty similar looking landscape.
Doesn't matter where you come from, in my language I know my haramai koto ki tupu kaingo Aotearoa. Welcome to New Zealand, guys.
Bit of a rest stop. Incredible.
The bus made 5 stops along the way to check out some of the local scenery, toilet stops, food stops, all that sort of stuff. And oh man, I was glad it did, because buses aren't my favourite thing. But the scenery was absolutely incredible. As much as I don't like buses, this was well worth the trip, because the scenery we were passing through was some of the most stunning I've ever been through in my life. The photos and videos cannot do this scenery justice. You just can't understand the scale of things if you're not there in the scenery. The mountains, hillsides, jagged peaks, they're a lot bigger than they look in the footage.
Wow, here we are, Milford Sound. Unbelievable. It's very, very, very rare to get blue skies like this in Milford Sound, apparently. This is unbelievable. Just about to head out in the boat and do some exploring. Got a buffet lunch downstairs. Insane drive in here. Wow, it was absolutely stunning. Even without Milford Sound here as the prize at the end, the trip down here in the bus was incredible. I don't like buses, don't like bus trips, but the scenery was insane. And it's going to continue.
Milford Sound is a 15-kilometre long fjord lying within the Fiordland National Park in New Zealand's southwest corner. The scale here is unbelievable. It's really hard to get a feel for how tall these cliffs are until you see a large tour boat right up close to them. And you think, hang on, that boat is a 2-3 level boat that is massive, but it is dwarfed amongst these cliffs. Some of them rise dramatically straight up out of the fjord to heights around 1.5 kilometers. That is insane. They do not look that big. The 2-hour boat trip took us the full length of the sound all the way out to where it meets the Tasman Sea. We then turned around and went back, enjoying the view in the opposite direction.
Can't believe the weather we got for this. When you look at all the other videos online, it doesn't look like this. The scale of it all, it's really hard to. It's not till you see the size of those boats up close you realise they're big boats, but they look tiny. Oh, is that the seals on top of the rock? They're tiny. Tiny little fur seals.
Pretty lucky on a day like today. Normally we have to give this overhang a pretty wide berth, so pretty cool to be able to see that from right underneath.
The sheer scale of the mountains around that waterfall looks tiny, but 150 metres high.
Even while you're there, it is really hard to get a grip on the scale of this place. And we were so blessed to be able to see the tops of these cliffs having a clear day, because the majority of the time you cannot. The place is shrouded in mist and cloud, fine drops of rain. It is one of the wettest places in the world. But you wouldn't know it on this gloriously fine day that we had.
Just as around this point there, we head into Harrison's Cove. Looking up the Harrison's Valley, Mount Pembroke and the Pembroke Glacier will be revealing itself shortly. Look at that pretty awesome view of the Pembroke Glacier. Pretty freshly formed shelves up there, so definitely a sign that we're well and truly into summer here. Harrison's Cove, one of the only safe anchorages here in Milford Sound, used by the early explorers, whalers and sealers. Coming here and sheltered from the devil that can be the Tasman Sea. See out those storms that we're pretty prone to.
It was one thing to take in the beauty of this place at sea level, but we were just about to take on a whole new perspective of this incredible and majestic place.
It's time to go and jump in a plane. This will be my 5th flight this month. The last small plane that I went up in, I fell out of it. This is going to be pretty cool. And our pilot on the flight today is none other than Sharon, sitting in the front over here. Look at that, she's got the steering wheel in front of her. I've seen the way Sharon drives.
Oh, thanks.
Wow, that was incredible. What an amazing way to end a brilliant day. That was absolutely incredible. The views over the mountains, wow, absolutely stunning. Woo. We are going jet boating on the Shotover River.